Hi everyone, I hope you well. This is CoinsKid. Just going to dive into Bitcoin. Once again, thank you for your continued support. Really do appreciate everything you do to contribute towards growth of CoinsKid here. Sharing is caring, and honestly, thank you for your comments and getting involved in the videos and the community there. So yeah, big thumbs up. Hope you have a really good Sunday, and I hope we have a really good week as well. But right now, you can see that Bitcoin didn't break out of our inverse head and shoulders target that we found just here. The left shoulder, the head, the right shoulder. You can see that as it was breaking out, it basically failed and it's rolled back, and now it's losing the 20 EMA on the 4-hourly time frame. Now, if we start to roll any more, there is a bit of a pattern that I'm going to show you in a moment that is a very negative pattern, and always full transparency, and I'll always show you what I see. Okay, so right now we failed to break out of this inverse head and shoulders and failed to march on towards that price target right there. You can see it's sort of a rolling trend. You see this way, it's sort of rolling and sort of running out of steam, so to speak, you know. So that's basically a Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame right there. But what I'm going to do is just jump to another chart and show you something that's going on with Bitcoin. So with Bitcoin then, when you went up in this particular uptrend there, you form these 3 peaks like that. Do you see that? So on this particular uptrend there, you've got these 1, 2, 3 peaks like this. You see this? So effectively, what I think you're forming here, you know, you've obviously got this rising wedge, which you know we're obviously broken out of. That's, you know, you don't need me to tell you that. You could see that we're broken out of that rising wedge, basically, where we started to go up like this, got tighter and tighter and tighter, and then obviously we broke out, as you know about. This was the original target of the rising wedge right here, where you formed it, okay, which was down there, which is, we've always been transparent with you. That's the 43k right down there, which is also multi-year resistance right there and support. So you can see that effectively you've already tested that when you made the high, fell back to it as support. So that's great. So right now you can see that Bitcoin is forming another rising wedge. You've got your 3 peaks just like that. Do you see that? So what I'm going to do is get rid of that, so I can show you exactly what I'm on about. So right now you've got another trend line on the go for Bitcoin just there. This another rising wedge, so to speak, that you've formed for Bitcoin. So effectively you've done exactly the same as what you've done there. You've found a support, you've gone up, made a peak, come down, and you're starting to get tighter and tighter and tighter. Do you see this? And you might actually be breaking out of this rising wedge anytime soon, because obviously the way to invalidate this is break to the upside. So that's what we need to see for Bitcoin. That's why I always say to you, you've got to break the high and make progress, because the more you're going to hit resistance, the more you're going to roll back. Okay, so potentially what you need to see for Bitcoin right now, to stop the rinse repeat of that particular pattern right there that we had on for Bitcoin when it actually broke down and had that really monstrous correction there from there down to there of around 27%. You know, if Bitcoin does now falls back to this particular rising wedge where it started to form it, you could be looking at another correction for Bitcoin if it was to fall out of that particular wedge of around 14% for Bitcoin, which would drag the alts down, as well, as you're fully aware, because that's what it does. So right now, to invalidate this, you need to see Bitcoin actually march on and break this key level of resistance right now and actually go on to make these highs. But at the moment, it's not looking too strong for Bitcoin to actually go on and do that, because it keeps failing at resistance. Okay, so like I've said to you, always been fully transparent with you, you know, always, if we fail to break the high, you're going to roll effectively, and that's effectively what Bitcoin's got on the cards at the moment. So do keep an eye on the 4-hourly time frame, draw your resistance line right now, because I could tell you where the key level of support is, but it's constantly creeping up. Do you see this? So the closer you come now into this apex, the more probability you've got of the break, obviously up to the upside, because these can break to the upside. Rising wedges are not a definitively bearish pattern, so to speak. They can actually break down and break up, obviously. So it's a bit of a more biased. I think it's around 70% that they do actually break down, and we are in a bull market, so you may start to see Bitcoin break to the upside. But I'm saying, if you do start to see it roll, okay, if you do start to see it lose itself, because right now you can see, look, if we zoom in on the 4-hourly time frame, there is a key level of support right there for Bitcoin, but you are caught between the 4-hour 20 EMA and the 55 EMA. So if you remain to do that, you're going to get choppy and go sideways. You're going to come towards this resistance line right there. If you do start to break out, that is where you could see the correction for Bitcoin down to that key level of support right there, and that would be a dump down to around about 49k. So hopefully, you know, Bitcoin can actually hold that, because if it doesn't, then you would be looking at that further correction down to 43k for Bitcoin, and that would be a monstrous correction from this point right here of around about 24% for Bitcoin. And you know, that would coincide with a 2-leg down that we've been obviously analyzing. The 1 leg down, which is the A correction that we've told you about multiple times. So you've got your sort of A, and then your B, and then your potential C, and we've always been transparent with you. Okay, this would actually coincide with that sort of C wave right there, down to that 43k that we have been anticipating for Bitcoin. I'm not saying it is going to happen, but we've always been transparent and made you aware of the possibilities of the outcome of this Elliott wave theory and this larger ABC correction right here for Bitcoin. So hopefully what you need to see now, because if it does start to break down and loses these key levels of support, I would imagine you would actually carry out this rising wedge pattern that we've obviously, like I've said to you so many times, the pattern that's in play, the pattern that's in play is valid until invalidated away, and the only way to invalidate this pattern is to break this high, and so far Bitcoin is failing to do that. You're going up, you're rolling, and you're effectively still making the lower highs in the grand scheme of things. And if you'd caught the other Bitcoin video that I made the other day, the hidden bullish divergence, the bullish engulfing candle, it's happened before, and it rolled at that particular event in the past as well. So it's not always a real big confirmation statement to more upside. At the minute, Bitcoin's painting a very relatively bearish pattern at the moment, so it does need support. That's what I'm trying to say. And hopefully, like I said to you, come to your charts, draw your trend lines, and notice that if Bitcoin starts to roll here, then that's confidence for the fact that you're at least going to come back down to this particular key level of support where you effectively form the rising wedge of this smaller sort of trend pattern, right, that you've got going on there. And that's where you could potentially see it come back down to that sort of 49k. And if it loses that, then obviously you're looking at that larger correction and carrying out this pattern, so to speak, and that would be your A, your B, and your C. Boom, job done, before continuation in this bull market for Bitcoin and the Elliott wave theory there, Elliott wave 5 up to 200k per Bitcoin. So do keep an eye on that, because if it does start to lose this particular trend line right now, that's a really good short opportunity for Bitcoin of around about, just wait for confirmation as well. You don't just like from, it's going to go short, it's going to go down. Just wait for confirmation. If you do start to see the trend line lose itself and close below it, then you could be looking at a lovely little short down there of around 12% for Bitcoin. So that's basically a little update for you on Bitcoin. Always going to keep you updated, Always going to be transparent and tell you what I see. I could feed you some spiel and say it's going to the moon from here, but things that go up sometimes have to come down, retouch base, and just repopulate, so to speak. So what we do need to see for Bitcoin is break out of this now, this resistance line. I've given you the targets, draw your trend lines, break that resistance line, because if it does, you could see it break this high and a new all-time high by next week. So it's a really crucial time for Bitcoin right now. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.